champ, Swerve Strickland. Welcome. How are you, sir?
I'm doing all right. How's everything?
Good. Good to see you. One of the best entrances in the business today. Big Pressure goes hard every single time, every single night. Tell me how this came about with Flash Garments.
Honestly, it was like a mutual friend of mine, of ours actually. He just, I reached out to him because I met him when I was in NXT, and when I was let go, he was like one of the first people I called because I seen a lot of the moves he was making, a lot of the connections that he had. So I just reached out. I was like, hey, can we get on a phone call? So I get on a call with Blake, of our buddy, and he was just like, I was just telling him about all the things I wanted to do and I'm looking forward to. I just got let go from WWE. I have 90 days. So what is some of the first steps I can really make? So he just gets me in touch with like a lot of these connections. But he was like, out of all the connections, he was like, this guy, Flash, I think you two would get along really well. And I was like, oh, word? And he was like, yeah, I think just y'all personalities and what y'all do, what you're looking for, I think there's a good time for y'all to meet. So he linked us up, and I was like, hey, man, got him a Zoom call. We talked, chatted. Invited him to a independent wrestling show that was like down the street from him in LA. And he comes through, and the first person he meets is X-Pac, Sean Waltman. So he was like, oh my God, this is like one of my childhood favorites, man. That's crazy. So I think the next night he invited me to a studio session at like 2 a.m. in Los Angeles. And that Big Pressure was made that night.
Wow. Just turned around like that.
Yeah. Yep. The producer was Prophet. Later on, maybe 2 months later, he had invited me to Vegas to go to the Grammys, and I watched the producer of Big Pressure win 2 Grammys at for his work on the Kanye West album.
Unreal.
Yeah.
And here's the time in your life too when you think, crap, I'm let go. Exactly. What's next? You know, Prince Nana, major part of this presentation too. Do you ever take the time? I know you got to stay in the zone. You know what you're going to the ring for, but do you ever get a chance to stop and take notice of guys, you know, my age, maybe older, trying to imitate that dance? And if you notice them, how do you hold it together?
I scan like the whole crowd like one piece. Like I feel like the whole crowd is one person.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you have your sections of people that like kind of one section makes more noise, one section's more interactive, one section's waiting for that like that eye to eye connection, that acknowledgement. Other sections waiting for like you to come over and slap hands with them. But as a whole, like I treat them as one entity. So a lot of times it's just like I just see who's out there, see who's vibing, see like all one section, one piece moving at the same time. That's what I try to see, but I never really crack or break on it. It's funny is like the team us together with like the idea was Tony Khan, like or right off the bat. He's like,
that's cool.
I think this is a good time for with the Mogul Embassy, Mogul affiliates to Mogul Embassy, they were doing separately. It was a good time for like us to really merge and create something, and that was his idea from the gate. That we didn't really like necessarily understand it at first, but we definitely grew and molded to one another.
If I notice a little grin next time you're on the way to the ring, I know you saw somebody.
Oh yeah, I see a lot.
You were an Army brat growing up, right?
Yeah.
You have any good memories of your time in Germany?
There was I remember this, like I was a little chubby kid when I was little growing up, so it was we lived across the street from this big old hill, and there was like a little trail that you could walk to, and there was like there was cows and cattle and farm animals and stuff, but there was like this one house at the end that they owned a pizza shop within their house, and there was like oven, I think that was the first time I ever had like brick oven like baked pizza.
Oh wow, yeah.
And so ever since then, every time I smell that at any other restaurant I go to, that smell brings me right back to that little walk, the path down to get to that one house with this lovely couple, lovely family that just made pizzas all the time.
That's a very strong tie. The sense of smell with memories. And,
it's like I've heard that's like the closest connotation to it.
Oh wow! I know you served it well. Thank you so much for doing that. Not only did you serve, but you also incorporated your time and experience in the service into your professional life in pro wrestling as well, especially as Killshot over in Lucha Underground. Now, did you have a hand in writing that character?
I wrote it all myself.
Dude, that's so awesome. How did they give you that much freedom? You just go ask for it?
Just like, I like for me, I always took initiative on things when I'm not even asked to do certain things. I just always have something ready to go. That's kind of like how like my career's path is like carved the way it has. There hasn't been much like, oh, these are blank slate. Let's like put them wherever. It's like kind of like, oh, I don't want to just be like an empty shape. I want to have like some life to it. So I just always took it upon myself to just create. So like when after they brought me in on season 1, and I came up with the name Killshot, and they just kind of created a mask and a kind of like an outfit, a costume based off of what that name. I didn't really have like a background character. So when season 1 had the break going into season 2, I wanted to flesh out the character a little bit more. So throughout that time, I wrote the character out and like put 3 different ways he can be incorporated in the show. And the head writer was Chris DeJoseph. He really liked all of them. So he's like, okay, I love that. So I'm going to kind of compile and mix and match and figure out what we can do to write this character into certain things. And next thing you know, Killshot was born, and the vignettes of me doing combat in Iraq and the army, they started just like creating. So it was like a collab effort in the sense. That's where it really got to where it became later on. And it got so like really unique that it created another character within, Dante Fox. And then it created match stipulations off the character from what I based it off of, because that's when you give the idea, they started having fun with it. And then I started having fun performing within the idea.
Man, that's really, and I think that's when a character can really come alive, when you feel there's an investment that you get to make, and that investment is taken seriously.
It's also risk too. There's also risk too. Like there's times like when I remember I did a random like multi-man in NXT, and every once in a while, every couple of months, I went up to Triple H just but when like I pulled him aside. I'm always like made sure I was like, hey, I appreciate the opportunities, thank you for this, but what do I got to do to be one of your guys? And then I would ask that over and over again every couple of months. And then I think I torn my MCL, so I was out for like maybe 4 weeks, like not too long where all the fans would notice my absence. So I was like, I went to a TV, and I was like really frustrated. I feel like Trips could see me like at the table, like fuming. He could see it, and I wanted him to. So like after TV, he had his meetings, he spoke to everybody. I waited till like maybe almost midnight, and I walked over to him. I was like, okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to change up some things. I'm going to come back, and I'm going to be a little different, and I want to be doing this. And I had no direction from it. And he was like, okay. And I came back, colored hair, gold teeth, long tights. And that's where me and Leon Ruff stuff really started. And then Hit Row came from that. So that's once again that me taking initiative. Just like in AEW, like I didn't really tell Tony after I got put in the coffin, I didn't tell Tony what I was going to do coming out of it. I just did it. And then people were like, this feels different. This feels unique. And Tony was like, he believes in it and he trusts it. Go. So that's kind of how, like, every step of my career, it was just me just like, I'm going to take a risk and do it.
Well, you you moved from the gold teeth to the gold around your waist in AEW.
Exactly.
That's big. Did you, growing up, in a service family, and you're planning out your career, or thinking about your career, what I want to be when I grow up, did you consider then, I think I want to be a pro wrestler. How do I get there?
Growing up, no, not really. I kind of grew up being a fan of it. Me and my friends would like backyard wrestle and do a lot of like dumb stuff. We played the video games, but to make it a career, not really. Military was kind of like my backup plan in case that any type of like dream venture that I was going to chase, if I fell through, I always had that. And, you know, as a father, you always make sure you had that backup plan. But military was kind of like it for me. It started becoming more and more of a reality the more I started traveling. Once I started like traveling, getting up to CZW and then going overseas, I was like, oh, I can really make this a job and a career. It's just, I'm not at that level yet, but I'm going to still keep pushing and sacrificing and like going further to try to chase that, you know?
We mentioned your time in Lucha Underground. Do you think a presentation like Lucha would fare well in the pro wrestling world today?
No, I right now, I don't think so, because like there's always people pulling something apart before it really grows and blossoms into its full potential. Even All Elite Wrestling is still blossoming into its full potential. It hasn't even reached that yet, and people are already trying to pull the certain things apart yet. So to create something new in the atmosphere that we're in, when people want to like argue attendance records and ratings and argue booking and argue this and argue all these things, rather than just sit and watch and enjoy a product, enjoy certain things, I think it's really tough. I don't think, like, even Lucha Underground for what it was never fully blossomed into its full potential either.
Yeah.
You know, so now, like in today's climate, it's really hard for anything new to really blossom, you know,
with the negativity that tends to come
correct
with it. Yeah. Yeah. You're right. Let's talk about some of your battles with Adam Page. These were brutal. Do you consider these some of the most brutal matches that you ever had?
I probably, especially on the stage in front of that audience, for that many people to see it. Because I've had like violent battles. I've done Cage of Death, but that's not widely known to the world. So a lot of people are just seeing me really get like bloody and violent for the first time with Adam Page. Like, little know, like I've kind of had that in my career for a long time. But I wouldn't say it was one of the most brutal. It's definitely one of the most unique and one of the most marveled after. Like, you know, you place that next to like the Texas Death match right next to me and Dante Fox and Lucha Underground, the Hell of War match.
Yeah.
Vastly different. One probably more brutal and more risk taking than the other one. But something about like the story and the theatrics and all the animosity building up and to the stage that we didn't do it in a Kia Forum in Los Angeles. Once again, Los Angeles, Boyle Heights, Los Angeles, Kia Forum, Los Angeles, there's levels up. It's got a different, and it just feels big. It just felt bigger. It felt bigger, but definitely like the idea of like just me doing everything that I did from Dante Fox just felt unique and different. And this with me and Hangman felt unique and different.
For sure. Listen, I don't pretend to know all the inside lingo. I'm a fan, but I've heard guys use the term and tell me if I'm even using this correctly, but call it in the ring. I've heard them use that before. You may already know the spot that I'm going to bring up and refer to, but you bleeding and Hangman's mouth. That was talked about a lot. Was that a call that just happened in the ring, or is that something that traditionally you would have a conversation about before?
I can't tell you what goes on in Hangman's head at all. You'll see. What you see is what you get a lot of times in the ring.
Going into your match with Christian Cage Sunday at Double or Nothing, 31 days. It'll be a 31 days plus as the champion, AEW champion. This is your first real test as the champ. Things have escalated quickly. It got very personal very quickly as well. As it seems that things tend to do with Christian Cage. How do you mentally prepare to face a veteran like him?
It takes a lot of honestly, it's all mental. Like physically, I've gotten my body to the best shape it's ever been in, but now it's a mental thing. It's anticipation. It's learning your opponent and like kind of like the weeks leading up, you've seen a lot of attacks on me and stuff. And one thing I've been seeing was me stay down. I've always gotten back up. I've always like pulled something from that, you know, and all these people putting more things in front of me, you know, like Mobile Embassy turning on me and everything. And I still got back up and beat all them down to get to Christian. I'm clearing all the negative things that were coming from the past to haunt me to get to him. That shows something that's like, I'm unlike anything that Christian's ever faced either. You know, he's had Adam Copeland for like 25 years almost across from him. He's never had anybody like me across from him. I've had veterans. I've defeated veterans. I've defeated legends. You know, I've defeated former world champions time and time again. And Christian is just another one that's going to be like in my win column. You know what I mean? So, I plan to make an example out of Nick Wayne this coming week in Bakersfield, and Christian is not too far after that. So I know he's coming up soon. I'm pretty sure he's going to be taking a nice little quick peek of the match. He's not too far away from Nick Wayne. But how do I prepare for that thing? Just all mental.
Well, we've seen the last couple of weeks, as you mentioned, you don't know who you can trust. You thought you had some buddies come to the ring with you or show up for you, only to find out that they were being paid under the table. So how are you looking over your shoulder all the time, yet still focusing on what's in front of you?
Oh, well, truth be told, a lot of people wondered why I got to where I'm at. And they questioned how I got to where I'm at. People said it was Nana. Well, the past 2-3 weeks, I haven't had them. And the fans are still just as loud. People said, like, oh, it's always because of the Mobile Embassy around them, protecting them, making them look cool, making them this, making them that, like this protective barrier. Well, I beat all of them down after they turned on me, so I don't have them either. What's the criticism now? I got beaten down and bloodied and all that stuff. Well, I'm back up, about to wrestle again. What's the criticism now? There hasn't been a champion that wrestled this much. Well, here's me with the belt. People thought I'd take like less dates and less opportunities, less times in the ring, and I would be disappeared. Nope, I've been on Collision and AEW Dynamite for the past 2-3 weeks. The only one I missed was this past week in Collision. What's the criticism now? All these criticisms have been stacked against me, and I proved them all within a month leading up to Double or Nothing. You know, so that's kind of been like where my mind's been at. Proving a lot of naysayers wrong, whatever. They said like, oh, putting all these things behind me to make me who I am, you can strip them all down and I'm still me in that ring. I'm still me walking out.
Well, let's look on the bright side. Look on the optimistic side as you head into this battle. You come out the other side, still the AEW champion. What will you say you would hope to leave as a legacy as a champion, as the champion?
I'm still trying to figure that out. I'm still trying to create that every week. That's pretty much like, you don't really plan to make that happen. You kind of, after everything is all said and done, you look back and you're like, man, I'm happy with what I did. You know, that's one of those things you look back on, not look forward to creating, you know, because the more you try to create while you're creating, it gets further and further away from what you're actually trying to envision in your mind. So all you can do is really like just create, like focus on one pay-per-view, one Dynamite, one Collision, one Rampage, one match, one promo, all at a time. And every time you do, you try to grab a new fan 1 week at a time, every time. And then that's how it grows. And then you look back at all the fans and all the matches and all the promos, all the memories you left behind, all the different like career milestones you've created. And hopefully, like the ones I do create, hopefully somebody beats those. Some kind of can be beaten because like I'm the first of something. The first of anything is always like they get the most scrutiny. They get the pounding the most. You know. But that's what I'm like kind of like asked for, and that's where I'm like going to constantly keep like showcasing why I am, why I do deserve that, why I chose to put that out there, and why I am in the position I am. Because I'm like, who else could do it? I have to do it. I'm going to be the one to show that I'm the one that deserves to do it.
every champion has had a different mindset in AEW and have all contributed to what the legacy of that title will have when it's all said and done, or 10 years, 20, 30, 40, 50 years down the line. And that is a mindset of a champion that you have right there, and explains why you have the gold around your waist. How many tattoos do you have?
I can't even count. I have a full sleeve.
Count anymore. Yeah,
I can't count. I stopped counting. So this full sleeve kind of counts to like 13 different ones alone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then the hand, my daughter's name's on my wrist. I have a Goku on the back of my calf. So there's a lot. There's even cover-ups too.
Well, I want to take this home, but I'm actually going to go a little deep if you want it to. It's totally up to you. But there's one tattoo in particular, and it's right across your midsection, and it says faith. What does faith mean to you?
It's when things were going really tough, and I kept getting the answer no to a lot of things throughout my wrestling career. Not even just wrestling, but through life as well. Like, why can't I get the approval on this apartment? No. Like, why can't I get the loan for this car? No. Like relationships, like even like, about to possibly get married. No. Like, I still kept the faith and still kept finding positivity to push forward in. And with keeping faith, I found things that were better and improved. Like, I found like, I finally was able to like just buy a car flat out, like, a brand new car, no loan, no payments, just boom.
Yeah.
And it was better than the one I was trying to get approval on years back. I got a bigger, better home that I can just buy rather than lease or rent than the shitty apartment that I was trying to get years ago. I wanted to get booked at this independent promotion. They told me no. Well, I got signed to a bigger and better one later on. Like relationships, like I'm with a better woman that I've had, like, the best woman I could ever meet in my life. All these things like went better because I kept faith.
That's awesome. Swerve, best of luck this weekend, this Sunday, Double or Nothing, live from Las Vegas. Going in as the champ, facing Christian Cage. We're betting on you walking out as the champ too.
It's a better time than any. Bet Double or Nothing, aren't you?
I am. Good to see you, my man. Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you.